I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Here's an article that I received from the internet, Dateline United Nations. It says that Mohammed El-Baradei, the chief of the International Atomic Energy Agency, said in a speech on Monday before the General Assembly of the UN that the number of reports of nuclear or radioactive material stolen from around the world last year was, quote, disturbingly high. Dr. El-Baradei, in his annual report to the UN, said 250 such thefts were reported in the year ending in June. The possibility, he said, of terrorists obtaining nuclear or other radioactive materials remains a grave threat. So things are not well across the world. We still have a threat from militant Islamic sources. It is entirely possible they're planning a dirty bomb or some kind of radioactive material. Well, here's another report, this one from the King of Morocco. King Mohammed VI of Morocco this last Monday said that he urged Israel not to press ahead with plans to build a Jewish temple in the Muslim area of East Jerusalem. Well, I didn't know they had bought any land or had any plans for a particular spot in which to build this temple, but the king warned that the building of a synagogue next to the Al-Aqsa Mosque could have detrimental consequences on Israel's peace talks with the Palestinians. He said, what has been started in this district will certainly complicate the peace deal and could have to detrimental consequences. He made this statement, of course, aimed at Pope Benedict and the United Nations. Now, the Jews are planning to rebuild the temple. They have been working at this since 1984. They have all of the garments, or at least many of the garments and tools of the temple, the horns, the vessels for sacrifices, and so on. And one day they will have a Jewish temple. The prophecies of the Bible tell us that in the end time, when the 7-year tribulation period commences, that the Jews will be allowed a sanctuary of sorts on the Temple Mount, and that a wall will be built, says both Ezekiel and also in the book of Revelation, to make a separation. There will be a separation between what the Bible calls the profane place, which I suggest would be the Muslim mosques, and the Jewish sanctuary. This will come about. I don't know if the Antichrist is going to set it up or allow Israel to do this, or the UN, but it's going to happen. As you can see, Islam is already listening to rumblings of prophetic statements made by, I guess, Christians and Jews and rabbis that such a temple is in the making. And so they're wanting to try to stop it before it gets started. Here's an article from Reuters. Libya's Gaddafi visits Russia on arms drive. Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi makes his first visit to post-Soviet Russia on Friday, seeking to deepen a budding energy and military partnership with Moscow and counterbalance his fast-expanding relations with the West. The visit, Gaddafi's first to Moscow since 1985, is the latest step in a bold push by the former outcast state to accelerate overseas trade and investment for its booming post-sanctions economy. In fact, arms and energy are the focus on the 3-day trip. Russia's Interfax news agency said Libya might agree to buy more than $2 billion worth of Russian weapons during the visit. Libya is interested in buying surface-to-air missiles, fighter aircraft, dozens of helicopters, and about 50 tanks, according to Interfax, quoting a source in the Russian arms industry as saying. Now, Russia is making deals with Libya, and recently I read that Russia was making a deal with Sudan. Russia is cultivating deals with Syria and with Iran. And of course, Ezekiel chapter 38 talks about those who will be confederate with Russia in the battle of Gog and Magog. They are listed as Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, which would be the modern Sudan, the territory just south of Egypt, and Libya. There it is. It's amazing what's going on today as the world moves toward the future World War III, the Battle of Gog and Magog, as the Bible calls it. It's coming. We know it's coming. We're a little bit fearful. Nevertheless, Jesus said, when you see all these things come to pass, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. Now I want to mention something to you for this holiday season. This is a collector's edition of the complete works of Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian. And it is a fantastic study. You recall we read about the plans for a new Jewish temple. Well, the descriptions of Jerusalem in the first century and the descriptions of Herod's temple, the grandeur of it, the various 19 years or so that, actually it was, I say 19 years, it was 19 BC when Herod the Great started building the Jewish temple. Well, anyway, it's all described here in this book of some 890 pages. You can enjoy 6 books in one. This is the complete works of Flavius Josephus. It contains the antiquities of the Jews, the history of the Jewish wars, sequel to the history of the Jewish wars, Flavius Josephus against Apion, the life of Flavius Josephus, and 3 dissertations on Jesus Christ, Abraham, John the Baptist, and James the Just. And it also includes a comparative view of the lives of the patriarchs, a chronology table from creation to the birth of our Lord. This is an 1850 edition. Let's see, I believe that is correct. Yes, 1850, when this book was originally published. And this is a copy, a replica of that book. You can see the cover design, the spine work here, and especially I want to show you some of these pictures. Here's a couple of the pictures, the many engravings that are found within this book, all coming from the 1850 edition of the Complete Works of Flavius Josephus, a translation by William Whiston. This book is selling for $59.95, and we invite you to get it. It'd make a perfect gift for Christmas, and make an excellent collection in your library, as it replicates the gold leaf edging and the various aspects of the 1850 original edition of this book. I think it'll be a blessing to you. I'm sure you will enjoy reading the many things that Flavius Josephus writes about. He starts out with creation and the creation of Adam, and then works its way down through history. It's his version of the Old Testament, shall we say. It's not a Bible, but it is a historian's perspective, what the Jews believed in the first century. And he was a rabbi. In fact, Flavius Josephus was from the Hasmonean dynasty and would have been in line to be a high priest. He was in the priesthood. And so this will make an excellent addition to your library. You can find it here on the website. I hope you'll look it over and perhaps order it. I recommend it. It's, shall we say, going to be in my living room as a collector's item. And so I'm going to mention that to you on today's broadcast. This is J.R. Church. Until tomorrow afternoon, keep looking up.